Hello everyone, today we show you the top 5 Hollywood movies of 2023. Before we begin, please like and subscribe to the channel so we know we're not doing this in vain. Enjoy watching. Number 1. The Mother. The thriller from Netflix Mother 2023 will tell about the fate of an elderly single woman, Jennifer Lopez, engaged in a specific profession of assassin. With all the necessary skills of the bloody craft, she has each time faithfully fulfilled orders to eliminate people, leaving no traces, thereby earning high prestige in certain circles. In the past, the main character had to give up a normal life, and above all, her own daughter, whom she gave up for the upbringing of a childless couple. All this was done only to secure the girl. And since then, the woman has had no contact with her. The little girl grew up surrounded by the care of her loving parents, whom she had always considered her family. This went on for many years, until one day the biological mother's enemies got on her trail, killing all the people closest to her. Then the teenager discovers the whole truth about her origins. When the long-retired assassin learns that her daughter is in danger, she is forced to take up arms again and get even with those who encroached on the dearest to her. Number 2. To Catch a Killer. Events unfold on New Year's Eve in Baltimore, where a strange killer has recently appeared who has been killing people in public. The maniac turns out to be a real shooter who left no trace behind. Taking dozens of lives, under thunderous fireworks, in the central part of the city, the criminal was confident in the unusual events of the modern world. The victims were selected with particular care, even though horrific situations were forming in front of people, which began to frighten everyone. At any time the killer could go out on another hunt, and at the time, senior investigator Landmark of the FBI department had no clue to follow through on the case. One day he gets an intern, in the form of a young police officer named Eleanor. Thanks to her professionalism and accurate understanding of the nature of the criminal's actions, Landmark decides to involve the newcomer in the investigation of the case. Now there is only one single goal for them: to chase the psycho through the available spiral of destruction. Unusual events unexpectedly lead to a new twist. The events unfold on New Year's Eve in Baltimore, where a strange killer who has been killing people in public has recently appeared. The maniac turns out to be a real shooter who left no trace behind. Taking dozens of lives, under thunderous fireworks, in the central part of the city, the criminal was confident in the unusual events of the modern world. The victims were selected with particular care, even though horrific situations were forming in front of the people, which began to scare everyone. At any time the killer could go out on another hunt, and at the time, senior investigator Landmark of the FBI division had no clue to follow through on the case. One day he gets an intern, in the form of a young police officer named Eleanor. Thanks to her professionalism and accurate understanding of the nature of the criminal's actions, Landmark decides to involve the newcomer in the investigation of the case. Now there is only one single goal for them: to chase the psycho through the available spiral of destruction. Unusual events unexpectedly lead to a new twist. Number 3. Outpost. A young woman lived a fairly ordinary life and everything was going well for her until a certain point. One day it turns out that she is attacked. She had a really hard time, but nevertheless she managed to survive, and that is the most important thing. After the incident, the woman seeks strength in solitude. She gets a job as a simple watchman. This is the moment she begins to be overcome by something darker. The woman has always been a realist and believed only the facts, but nevertheless now she has to rethink her whole life. She never imagined that at some point her life would change so dramatically. Now she will have to fight for her own life, and it will be a very difficult task to gain the upper hand in this fight. However, now she has no other choice. Will she be able to cope with all the difficulties and stay alive in this nightmare? This is a story that really brings up a storm of very contradictory emotions. Number 4. John Wick 4. The film continues the story of hitman John Wick. John tries to forget his criminal past by leading a moderate life away from the big cities. But one day an old acquaintance comes to his house. He demands that Wick pay back a debt for helping him escape his pursuers long ago. John is forced to agree. Unaware of it, He begins a dangerous game from which it is impossible to get out without getting his hands dirty. The last film ends at the moment when John is betrayed by his friend Winston. John has tried to protect him from powerful people who want him dead. However, a representative of these shadowy forces declares that Winston can keep his life if John Wick dies. Winston then shoots John and throws him off the roof where the negotiations were taking place. The traitor receives immunity, but our hero's body mysteriously disappears. The wounded John Wick is delivered to King Bowery, the beggar king, who tells John that he intends to fight against those who tried to kill him. He asks John if he shares his aspirations. He replies, yes. Judging by the latest trailer, the new film will focus on John's fight against these shadowy forces. The battle will unfold in the United States, Japan, France, and Germany. The film's director, Chad Stahelski, says in an interview about the film, "The fourth chapter continues the story of the previous 3 films, and it has a little closure, and that's great. We introduce a lot of new characters who have a lot to say about John Wick's past and present." Number 5, Air. The story is not about the formation of Nike, but about a period of time when the company, along with basketball scout Sonny Vaccaro and the head of the company, Phil Knight, wanted to sign the then promising basketball player Michael Jordan. Back then in the 80s, Nike were not the sneakers that stars and athletes wore, they favored Adidas. Sonny Vaccaro is played here by Matt Damon, who should get all the players involved with the Nike brand. At the time, no one wanted anything to do with a newcomer to the brand world. As a result, Nike's basketball division wasn't as successful at the time, and they needed a new lease on life. The company wanted to offer a partnership to 3 players, but having done the research, decided to offer a partnership to one, North Carolina native Michael Jordan. Damon's character decides to put his entire budget on the line for just one basketball player. This deal arguably turned the entire industry upside down and created a multi-billion-dollar brand. The movie doesn't really tell the story of the deal itself, but of Michael's family's decision and how it affected the entire sport of basketball as a whole. It changed the story of how basketball players were compensated for their sponsorship. This is the 5th movie Ben Affleck has directed, and it is intended more as a tribute to the legendary athlete and star of basketball history. The film shows how deeply Michael is a symbol of basketball in the United States and around the world. The interesting thing is that Jordan is not playing himself, rather he is a ghost that everyone worships and wants to get their hands on. He's here as an image. Viola Davis plays the athlete's mother, who played a very important role in this deal. This is the actress that Michael Jordan himself would have wanted to see, otherwise the movie would not have been given the green light. She is really good here, and it is her character that shows how to believe in your son. And so our selection of the top 5 Hollywood movies in 2023 comes to an end. What do you think of them? Write in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll be grateful for the likes and subscriptions to my channel.